Hello, religions class. My name is Michaela Brown, and my partner Morgan Smith and I have created a presentation on relics in Christianity for you. When you think of relics outside of the realm of religions, you may think of that old scarf that maybe is like shoved in the back of your mom's closet that was like your great grandmother's. You may think of like an old Polaroid that was like your great grandfather's or great grandmother's, or just something old that is held onto and is held dear in your family. I can think of like kind of a weird, funny story. I remember when I was a child, I went through my grandma's jewelry box and I found a little container of my mom's teeth. And I was like, Grandma, why do you have teeth? And she was like, they're relics. And I was like, they're weird. But yeah, that's my own little experience with that. Yeah. Anyways, so today we're going to be talking about relics when they pertain to Christianity. So, what are relics? Relics include the physical remains of a saint or person who is considered holy, as well as other objects which have been sanctified by by being touched by their body. Since the soul of a saint is united with God in heaven, an object associated with a saint is meant to draw a person closer to God. So neither the relic nor the saint is to be worshipped. The word relic comes from the Latin relinquo, literally meaning I leave or I abandon. In a religion as spiritually centered as Christianity, the remains of certain dead are surrounded with special care and veneration, and this is because the mortal remains of the deceased are associated in some manner with the holiness of their souls, which await reunion with their bodies in the resurrection. So, what's the historical significance of relics in Christianity? Early Christians believed that divine power is inherent in holy people and radiated from their bodies and could be transferred to objects that were touched by them. And this is still very much believed today. This divine power transferred in the relics was believed to also have healing powers. Relics transcended time, space, through the scattering remains of saints' presence beyond the grave, and the boundaries between the past, present, and future erased. As soon as Christianity became legal in the empire, the conquest for relics exponentially grew in popularity, as the relics of martyrs no longer had to be hidden in obscure places so they wouldn't be destroyed. It was commonplace, and continues to be for this day, for a relic to be present in a Catholic or Orthodox church in order for it to be properly consecrated or declared sacred. Relics have often been the focal point for Christian pilgrimages, such as the mass viewing and travel to the alleged shrine of the bones of St. James. This pilgrimage is more commonly known as the Way of St. James and can be viewed here on this map. It was a pilgrimage across Spain, and it contained the tomb of the apostle St. James, the Greater Spain's patron, who was discovered at Compostela around AD 813 and soon drew pilgrims from throughout Europe. Pilgrimages like this are commonplace in Christian history, and it's not uncommon for Christians to travel very long distances to see and regard these relics highly, because they are regarded so highly by Christians. So yes, you can see how long this pilgrimage was. So there are three types of relics, and they go under three classifications. We have our first class relic, and this is a physical part of a saint, such as a piece of bone, a lock of hair, anything that was actually physically on them. They are most commonly regarded with actual physical parts of Jesus, so Jesus's bones, Jesus's hair, things like that. But you can see an example of a relic of Saint Ives. It's actually the head of Saint Ives. So a second-class relic is an object that's routinely used or touched by the saint during life, such as a piece of clothing, a book, a pen, something like that. The fact of the matter with this, though, is that it's difficult to pinpoint these objects, as they are often found in pieces or questioned as to their authenticity. And this can be seen with the true cross. I mean, we don't have just like one big cross where Jesus was crucified anymore. It's like more like 1,000 pieces that are scattered everywhere, and it's hard to really justify the authenticity of these pieces. But an example of a second class relic would be Jesus's crown of thorns, as shown here. And finally, third class relics are objects that are reverently touched to a first or second class relic. These are often able to be created and sold by churches with existing relics in them by touching a cross or cloth to an existing relic. If you search third-class relics, you will find anything. You will find so many things that you can just buy. It's all a lot of retail. As you can see here, there is this metal Jesus being crucified on the cross, and this necklace was being sold for $30. by the Vatican website. So yes, so the third class, it's very easy to just make a third class relic if you have the means to touch it to a second class relic. Moving on. So this PowerPoint will mostly pertain, really we'll only talk about first and second class relics as they are more historically significant and pertain to the lesson more. So our first example would be Saint Januarius' blood. He was a bishop in Italy during the late 200s, and he died as a great martyr. The relic here is a recurring miracle of the liquefaction of his blood 18 times a year. It's often reported in the secular as well as the religious press, and is the occasion of great gatherings in the Cathedral of Naples. It really is an extraordinary miracle that's still happening today, and it occurs up to 18 times a year for the past 600 years. So that's really cool. Moving to our second first class relic, we have the head of St. John the Baptist. John the Baptist was regarded as the forerunner for Jesus Christ. John the Baptist was a Jewish prophet who preached the imminence of God's final judgment. Jesus was among the recipients of his rite of baptism. He was killed by orders of a local ruler sometime before Jesus' crucifixion, and his head was severed and put on a platter. Yikes. A skull identified as the head is on the display in the Church of St. Silvestro in Capite, Rome. It is housed with other artifacts from the Roman catacombs. When you look up first-class artifacts for Christianity, this is one of the first ones you'll find, mostly because it's kind of the most morbid, one of the more morbid ones, but it's honestly really cool to dig up the history on them. Moving on to second-class relics, we have the True Cross. As I had described before, the true cross isn't just one big object where Jesus was crucified anymore. It is thousands of tiny slivers and chunks found nearly everywhere by people that are believed to be actual remnants of the original true cross. Religious officials were not really troubled or offended when they heard of these duplications, because it was believed that these relics were so necessary for humans that God had decided to produce them many times over, and it's believed that these relics can multiply over time, and that is why Erasmus of Rotterdam joked and was quoted by John Calvin stating, "Though one man alone carried the cross, now a whole ship can be built from it," because they found so many pieces of it that it doesn't really add up, but it's where the whole multiply theory comes from. So small pieces of the cross are designated and designed into smaller crosses, but are still revered as pieces of the true cross, such as the one in this picture and the one that is being carbon dated in this video, which we will watch a few seconds of.
For the first time in history, a prized relic of the true cross will be carbon dated. Professor Tom Hyam has over 20 years' experience.
There's quite a lot of what looks like lacquer that's across the top of the wood, and lacquer will have a different radiocarbon concentration probably to the age of the wood. But fortunately, pieces of material have been taken, and that exposes the actual wood. So that's a good place for us to take the sample from.
The procedure should leave little perceptible trace of damage, in theory.
Yeah, so I thought that was a really cool thing that we're carbon dating things. Wow. Exit full screen, please. Alright, gotta hit escape. So yeah, I thought that was a neat little video about the relic of the True Cross. Nope.
For the first time in history.
Don't subscribe. Now I'm subscribed to CNN. Great. Okay. We have the Shroud of Turin as our second class relic. So the Shroud of Turin, known as more commonly the Holy Shroud, it is a length of linen cloth that bears the image of a crucified man. It's commonly believed that this crucified man, it's really just the body, is believed to be the body of Jesus of Nazareth. It is believed that this cloth is the one that wrapped his crucified body. Moving to one of the more commonly known relics within the Christian world is the crown of thorns. It is a wreath of thorns that was placed at the head of Jesus Christ at his crucifixion, and for Christians, the crown of thorns is a reminder of two things: that Jesus was and is indeed a king, and Jesus was willing to endure the pain, the insults, and the shame, all on our account. So next is our St. Paul's chains. A piece of the chain believed to have been used by it is a piece of the chain believed to a piece of the chain believed to have been used by St. Paul when he was imprisoned in Rome. The chains believed to have been used to join Paul and a Roman soldier who guarded him, and St. Paul's chains is said to have marked his fidelity. And finally, my personal favorite, the Veil of Veronica. So there lived a woman named Veronica whom Jesus Christ healed of a hemorrhage. Later traditions hold that Jesus gave the newly healed Veronica a cloth used to cure Emperor Tiberius of his leprosy, and it is said that Jesus' face can be seen miraculously imprinted on the cloth, meaning that it was not done by hand. It literally just appeared. As you can see, the relic in the picture, it's now housed in the monastery of the Holy Face in Alicante, and is enclosed in a chapel built in 1611 and decorated between 1677 and 1680 by famous sculptors and artists. And that is the end of our presentation. There were honestly so many different relics within Christianity, and it was difficult picking the most relevant ones for now, but these were the ones we felt were the most prominent in the Christian world and that could be easily cited. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.